It is the Jesse Kelly Show, final hour of the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Thursday. You're going to get really mad at me in a second as I talk to you about moving, and then we'll do some emails. We'll talk about, this horrible story about these sisters who were saved by the Trump administration. It's really dark. Anyway, all that and some emails and some other things coming up in the final hour of the world-famous Jesse Kelly Show. Now, we talked earlier about the Democrat Party and how we have to have a reformed Democrat Party to save the country long term because we can't build as fast as they destroy. It's not possible, right? It's easier to destroy things. It just is. But I want to go back to something we used to talk about all the time under the Biden presidency, and I haven't talked about it in a while, but it's as true today as it ever was. And that is moving if you can. Moving if you can. I have encouraged you for the longest time to get out of your blue state, if that's where you live, and get to a red area. Or if you're stuck in the blue state, at least get to a red part of the blue state, right? And so if you're in New York City, I didn't say if you can't get out of New York, get to Long Island, right? But if you can, get to a red state. I don't say that as some flag-waving Republican. I say that for a lot of reasons. One of them is your life will be better. It really will be. I've been saying it forever. Chris has kept them. I have stacks and stacks of emails of people who've done it, and they email in, and every one of them has said, Jesse, you're so right. I'm mad I didn't do it earlier. Jesse, you're so right. Jesse, best move we ever made. I have people stop me who've done it and said, Jesse, last time, I think it was in Nashville, we moved here because you said so. It was the best thing we ever did. Move, right? Not just to make your life better, but to give us more power and take it away from them. Remember, they lose congressional seats when they lose population. You see the latest lists that always comes out? Oh, look, Texas is going to get more congressional representation. California is going to get less. Even if you're in California, that's good. You want more of us and less of that in Congress, right? So that's good. But the last part of it is the ugliest part of it, and it's the part that gets a little heavy. Your blue state, unless and until Democrats reform, not only is it not going to be okay, it's going to be worse and worse and worse. They're not moderating. They're going as hard and fast in the other direction as possible. If anything, what Trump is doing nationally is encouraging these people to destroy even more faster. Here's a great headline for you. This is from the Federalist. Reading scores plummet in rich blue states and they rise in poor red ones. Why? How could that be? How does a state that's very poor, like Mississippi, which I love Mississippi, but what is it? It's very poor. How could a poor state like that see its reading scores going up? But then you have all these rich states like California. California has so much money. New York, their scores are going down. What's happening there? Well, you know exactly what's happening there. The red states are doing things. What are they doing? They're starting to expand more on homeschooling, on private education, starting to allow parents to educate their kids where they want. This is, of course, improving the education their children are receiving, and their children are coming out better at reading and better at math. What's happening in the blue areas? California has so much money. I mean, gosh, it's unbelievable how rich that state is. Money everywhere. How in the world could the reading scores be going down? Well, money or no money, the communists control the education system from top to bottom, and the communists who are there are getting worse and worse and worse and more rabid and more rabid and more rabid. Even 10 or 15 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a pride flag in any classroom, even in a place like California. 10, 15 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. Now they all have it as they get more and more radicalized. And where are those? If you're a young communist, just graduated with your education degree, and you want to go into education because you want to teach young people to hate themselves and learn how to be gay, where are you going to teach? You're driving right to Connecticut. You're going right to New York. You're going right to California. And you're going there like the predator you are to destroy young people. And as we move forward, it doesn't matter what happens nationally, as we move forward, if you're in a blue area, that gets worse, as I warned you it would. Crime will get worse. Did you know that? As things get more and more inhospitable to illegals in this country, the illegals who don't go home, they're all going to go to the safest place they can find, and that's your blue state. That's your blue city. The areas that have declared themselves to be sanctuaries, meaning my state, Texas, we got all kinds of illegals here. We're right here on the border. If they have to go and they don't want to go down south, well, they're not going to stay here. They're going to go someplace where they're not going to get thrown in a cage, where they're not going to get deported. They're coming to your neighborhood. You ready for that? Oh, here's one for you from the Free Beacon. Trump administration sues Michigan and Hawaii over the state's plan to pursue climate damages from the oil and gas industry. You like those gas prices you're paying in California right now? For everyone who's not in California, they're backbreaking. Yeah, they're all about to go up. All of them. It's about to get worse. It's not just that your life will become dirtier, gayer, and more crime-filled. It's just about to get more expensive. Your quality of life is going to go down, 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 unless the Democrat Party reverses its current trajectory. You're simply not going to be able to stay in these places. Listen to, remember this? Remember this little story here?
Bria and John, the government wanted Owen McIntyre to spend the time before trial behind bars, but the judge in Boston sided with the defense in this case, which cited multiple medical issues facing the 19-year-old, including autism spectrum disorder, gender dysphoria, and ADHD. McIntyre's attorney argued the teen should be released citing serious and ongoing medical needs and treatments that could not or would not be provided while in federal detention. The defense filing says McIntyre is being treated for depression and since March has been receiving gender-affirming care. That care would likely be interrupted or terminated in federal custody.
19-year-old tranny in Boston went firebombing a bunch of Tesla dealerships, and the judge let him out of prison so we can get more tranny surgeries. Remember that case in Minneapolis where the Tim Walz, the former Tim Walz employee, went out, took his dog for a walk. He brought his keys with him, and while he was out for an evening stroll, went and keyed, I think it was 6 Teslas, if I remember right, 6 or 7 Teslas, went and keyed 6 Teslas, and the DA there let him off scot-free. Apparently the cops are up there are in complete revolt over the whole thing. They had to chase him down, do the police work, throw him in prison. Did you know that the Minneapolis police force is down by 40% still? I believe I talked to Liz Collin today. She's a wonderful investigative journalist from up there. Did you know they've had, I believe she told me 5 homicides in the last 18 hours? Get out of your blue area if you can. If you can't with your job or school or mom or something, if you can't, then you can't. If you can, if you're considering it, get out. You'll thank me. Everyone else does. I've never to this day had a single email that said, Jesse, you told me to move. I did, and it was a mistake. Not one. Not one time. Jesse, I had a question about your service. Oh, I told you I'm not going to call it Jesse's Jerk Service. That's what I said. I used that on the air because I was coming up with it on the fly. I said we're going to change the name of it, of me being a jerk to people on your behalf. It's not Jesse's Jerk Service. This guy says, I had a question about your services. If I were to pay a little extra, can I, you know what? No, I'm not even finishing this. It's not the name of the business. The name of the business is not Jesse's Jerk Service. I'm not going to entertain any more of these questions. Dear Mr. Professional Jerk Service, you definitely can't hire any Asians for the, I don't even want to read any more emails because you're not very nice. That's why. I misspoke one time. That's not the name of the business. It's not the name of the business. We're going to come up with something different. All right? It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Thursday. Tomorrow's an Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. And get your questions emailed in right now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Hey, Jesse, I realize this could never happen, but with Republicans controlling both houses of Congress, couldn't Congress, at the urging of the president, do a formal declaration of war against illegal immigrants within the borders of the United States of America? This would eliminate all judicial oversight and due process. His name is David. No, because declaration of war would involve the military. You don't want the military involved like that on U.S. soil. And believe me, you really don't, because the communists have been trying to get the military prepped and ready to attack you for a very, very, very long time. Remember, they were not destroying the military. As they were running out the unvaccinated and all those types, they were not wrecking it. They were building one, a different one. Pete Hegseth has a lot of work to do. Jesse, my wife of 35 years, has the master's degree in applied math. However, her home pantry refrigerator organizational skills leave much to be desired. I'm home for the week. She's visiting my daughter out of town for 2 weeks. I'm tempted to do a sensible reorganization at the risk of her wrath, but I'm doing it anyway because this time I know I'm right. Listen, I think she's going to be okay with it. People who aren't organized, they need people who are organized. And especially husband-wife couples, you got to know how to play to each other's strengths. Now, there's going to be some tension there. For instance, me, when I have comfy clothes I put on at night, just like you do. Me, I'm a shorts and t-shirt guy. I put on my shorts, t-shirt. That's how I mess around the house. Well, I like to wear them 2 or 3 days in a row at least because I'm not sweating in them. They're not dirty. And so when I take them off, I leave them laying either in the bathroom or on a chair or something like that. I'm not crumpling them up. They're not on the floor. I'm not a teenager. I will come by and sweep them up, throw them in the wash. Sometimes I get mad about it. Beyond that, no, you're doing the right thing. Jesse, Trump just announced he would weigh in on the Cornyn versus Paxton campaign. It's very important, so on and so forth. Lady wants to go campaign on behalf of Ken Paxton. She's asking how they can do it. She's going to do. I love these people. You guys are the best. Listen to what she says. I know donations are important, and I plan to not only donate, but block walk with my kids. Other than that, how can the rest of us help fight for Paxton? We need to kick John Cornyn out. Okay. I just wanted to read this because this is the difference between you and other people. You're going to donate money. You're already planning to donate money. You're already planning to go door knock on behalf of Ken Paxton, on behalf of your country. And you're emailing me to ask what more you can do. 99.99% of the people who live in this country will neither do either of those things. I want you to know that I really appreciate you. Every single person listening who gets involved in any way in politics. I don't care whether you're stuffing envelopes, knocking on doors, maybe you give money, maybe whatever you do. I really, really appreciate you. And I hope you are proud of yourself. You carry all these normies. You carry the burden for so many. Your burden is too great. It shouldn't be that great. Should be legions of people helping you, coming right alongside of you, getting involved. But it's not that way. And it rarely is. There's always a few motivated, caring people who have to carry the load for every other daggone person out there. And that's you. Good for you. Jesse, stop being gay and have Revolution Is My Name by Pantera as some of your lead music. What does that have to do with you idiots? It's totally clean, and it will mess with Jewish producer Chris's head. Plus, you sound dumb living in Texas and having a radio show without any Pantera in it. I love you and your show, but your lack of taste in Pantera is dumb and stupid. Chris, are you a Pantera guy? Chris said Pantera sucks. Wow. You're going to get so much hate for that. I did not say that. That was Jewish producer Chris. But remember, all the emails you send in, ask Dr. Jesse questions or whatever you need to say to Chris, all the emails go to Chris. Jesse at jessekellyshow.com. What, Chris? What? Walk, is there one good song? Have I heard of it? Have I heard it? Play a little bit of it so I can hear it. Are you able to? Oh, no. Are we not able to on a family show? You don't think so? I did not know they say potty words in there, I'm assuming. A lot of potty words. Yeah. Well, we're not playing that on the show because we don't play potty words on the show. I would think you would know that by now. Hey, Jesse, I love the show. Making me laugh is a bonus. Thanks for all that, but I need some answers to the Fort Knox visit about the White House. Was there gold there? Did they verify there was real gold? So on and so forth. Well, I've been avoiding this question, I'll be honest with you. Because I don't want to ever come off like a conspiracy nut. And I don't want to encourage you to come off like a conspiracy nut. But at the same time, I think it's important that you and I ask questions. For 24 hours, we were told that they're going to go make sure the gold was in Fort Knox. And they kept making statements as if somebody suspected the gold was gone. Like maybe someone stole it or something. And they made a lot of noise about this. And then it was almost like a light switch got turned off. Beep, story gone. Now nobody talks about it anymore. What happened there? I don't have the answer to that question, but it's not good. All right, we need to talk about social media, what happened to these two illegal immigrant sisters who were trafficked. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a Thursday. That was Pantera, Chris. I think I've heard that before. That wasn't terrible. That one there. Look, it wasn't terrible, okay? It wasn't the best thing I've ever heard. I don't like when the music goes from music to hate metal. So it's not musical, right? Yes, exactly. But it is just noise, Chris, and don't call me old man. It is just noise. I mean, I got it. You take steroids. I get it. I totally understand. All right. Let's have more of a life discussion instead of politics for a minute, shall we? Mark Zuckerberg came out and he talked about Facebook is called Meta now. I know it's really weird. But he talked about AI friends, meaning friends that aren't real human beings. It's just artificial intelligence. It's digital. I feel like we need to have this discussion once again. I need it too. Okay, so I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to you. Remember that personal interaction is really important. Being physically with other human beings, it matters. Every introvert is turning off the radio right now. Before you turn off the radio and scream at me, listen, this is me. I know you may think because you listen to me on the radio and I'm a big goof that I am Mr. Life of the Party every single night. It's a party in a neighborhood and a gathering, and nothing could be further from the truth. I am the ultimate introvert, the ultimate loner. It drives my wife crazy. She always wants to go to this thing with friends and we'll go out and I never want to do any of that stuff. I want to keep to myself. I'm like you, introverts. Today, because of modern technology, which no other generation has ever had, today you can be an introvert, or basically you can be as introverted as you want to be. Shouldn't say most people. A lot of people never see another person at work. I'm talking about physically. They have online jobs. They have it, and maybe that's you. I get that. And so you don't have to on Friday night see anybody. You don't have to see anybody Wednesday morning. You don't have to. You got a church online if that's your thing, right? That's what people do. I understand the advancement in technology. The advancements in technology have allowed introverts to go extreme with their, is it called introversion, Chris? That sounds like too big of a word. I don't know. Whatever. I went to community college. What, Chris? Well, you could help. Just shaking your head and mocking me doesn't help. Well, can't you look it up so we sound smart on the show? Anyway, introverts can go extreme with everything. But I'm here to tell you and tell me, I still let Ob drag me to things, not just for her sake, not just because she's a social butterfly, but because I know it's important for me. That's how God made you. It's how God made me. Not that we're all the same, and not that I'm asking you to be the life of the party. Maybe you are the quiet girl or the quiet guy, and that's fine. And maybe you don't like parties. I don't like parties. That's fine. I'm not asking you to like parties or whatever. You need physical interaction with other human beings. That's how we're created. This stuff, I know it sounds great with all these nerds in the lab with the tech stuff. This stuff is horrific.
One thing just from working on social media for a long time is there's the stat that I always think is crazy. The average American, I think it's fewer than 3 friends. 3 people that they'd consider friends. And the average person has...
I pause for a second. I want to be clear that that's totally fine. I didn't tell you to have 20 friends. You can have 1 friend. Right? I don't have many people that I consider I'm super close with. I didn't put a number on it, right? So whatever. If that's the case, don't feel pressured to have as many friends as Mr. Social Butterfly.
Demand for meaningfully more. I think it's like 15 friends or something, right? I guess there's probably some point where you're like, all right, I'm just too busy. I can't deal with more people. But the average person wants more connectivity, connection than they have. Is this going to replace kind of in-person connections or real-life connections? And my default is that the answer to that is probably no. I think that a lot of these things that today there might be a little bit of a stigma around, I would guess that over time, we will find the vocabulary as a society to be able to articulate why that is valuable and why the people who are doing these things are why they are rational for doing it and how it is adding value for their lives. But also I think that the field is very early. So, it's I think, there are a handful of companies and stuff who are doing virtual therapist and, there's virtual girlfriend type stuff, but it's very early.
Unless you're in the Navy, you don't need a virtual girlfriend, okay? Gentlemen, go out there and meet a real woman, a real flesh and blood woman. Take her to dinner, talk to her, make her laugh. Ladies, I know, believe me, both sides, I know about all your complaints about the market of men and the market of women. I got it. I get all the emails. I shouldn't say I get it. I haven't been in that world in ages, but I get the emails. I know what you're saying. Jesse, you don't understand. The women all suck. Jesse, you don't understand. The men all suck. I get it. Ladies, get out there and have dinner with a fella. Let him take you to Red Lobster. Laugh at his jokes, even if they're dumb and if you happen to like him. Look, it's one evening. But beyond just the girlfriend-boyfriend stuff, we're going to create AI friendships and AI girlfriends. No. Don't do it. Don't allow yourself to be sucked in to the ease of that. You need to physically be around other human beings of every sex, I should point out. Be around dudes, chicks, to be around of every age. You should be around people, no matter your age. You should be around people who are younger than you. You should be around people who are older than you. This is how societies are supposed to operate. The old, the middle-aged, the young, the men, the women, that everybody lives and works. It's good. It's healthy. I know that we can't go back to what we were, but I look at all these freaking studies out there about how lonely people are today. People that they scream about it. I am so lonely. I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. Really? What'd you do Friday night? Watch something on Netflix, scrolled on Facebook, and went to bed. Of course you're freaking lonely. Go do something out there. Yeah, Chris. Yes, good point. Chris, learn your neighbor's name. If that's it, that's one. It's a small step. It's something. What's your neighbor's name? What's the name of the guy across the street? I didn't say you had to play pickleball with him. But you know what? There's value in when I get home. Happened to me last night. I'm messing with the trash out in front. I got home. I had a couple things I wanted to do around the house. I'm messing with the trash. My neighbor comes out. He's messing with his lawn. Comes out. He's having a beer. And we just sat there for a minute and we just talked. How's life? Do you see that? Fence is kind of leaning over. We need to... There. Boom. I know his name. We had a minute-long conversation. It's small. It's small. It's tiny. I didn't say go to Mardi Gras. It's something. Don't settle. Well, you can go to Mardi Gras too. I've never been. Chris, have you ever been in New Orleans? I've never. I live for that food. I'm not big on partying and things like that, but I want to go eat through New Orleans. I want to go just eat everything in that town and get so fat. Give me 2 or 3 days and then get me out of there. Just roll me back home. We got to do that. We should go to New Orleans. Plus, I'm told they have a sick World War II museum, and that's all I needed. It is the Jesse Kelly Show, final segment of the Jesse Kelly Show on a fantastic Thursday. Tomorrow's Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. Get your questions emailed in now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Did you hear Chuck Grassley? Did you hear Andy McCabe? I'll just play these two things back to back for you. Remember, Andy McCabe, former deputy director of the FBI, he was talking about that judge who got arrested. Listen to what he says.
I mean, I think when you start looking at how the judge was treated after the events that led to the charge, so where and when and how she was arrested, and the fact that she was arrested at the courthouse rather than her own residence, the fact that she was placed in a jail cell for hours before her arraignment was called in the court later in the afternoon, these things are unprecedented. Typically, upstanding members of the community who have no criminal history and aren't accused of a violent act are allowed to self-surrender at the time.
Upstanding members of the community they're allowed to self-surrender. People without criminal records. Now, you're tempted to point out the hypocrisy because I know you're thinking about guys like Mark Houck, the peaceful Christian man who found out the demons were trying to throw him in prison for FACE Act violations, told his lawyer, hey, just tell him I'll turn myself in. FBI tells him no, and then sends a SWAT team to his home. You're probably thinking about people like Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro doesn't have a criminal history. Peter Navarro lives like right next door to the FBI. Peter Navarro got word they were looking into him, and he went to the FBI and told them, hey, I live right next door. If you're going to arrest me, I'll come turn myself in. They also told Peter Navarro no, and they waited until he was boarding a flight, and from my understanding, they cuffed him on the jetway in front of everybody to humiliate him. So you'd be tempted to point out the hypocrisy. Listen, by the way, speaking of Peter Navarro, Chuck Grassley's making some FBI emails public. Listen to what the Cheka was doing when Peter Navarro was going down.
These emails show Biden FBI agents planning and celebrating the indictment of Trump advisor Peter Navarro in 2022. Upon receiving news of Navarro's impending indictment, former anti-Trump FBI official Timothy Tebow replied, "Wow, great," end of quote. Yet, when a criminal referral was issued for Nellie Orr, the FBI and DOJ chose not to press charges against her. As many of you know, Orr was a Fusion GPS contractor involved in the fraudulent Crossfire Hurricane investigation against Trump, and Orr's husband was an FBI agent who also worked against Trump. Orr was accused of lying.
All right, Chuck Grassley's boring, but you get what I'm saying. They were cheering about Peter Navarro. Cheering. So how can McCabe say something like what he said with a straight face? As the saying goes, for my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. The lamest, most ineffectual thing you can do with a communist, with a Democrat, is point out his hypocrisy. That's been conservatism 101 for most of my life, and there's a reason it has never moved these people. It has never swayed these people. You do that because you think they share your morality, that they would have something against being hypocritical. They're trying to be hypocritical. They want to be hypocrites. You understand that? Meaning they want two different standards. You, because you're the enemy, you should be held to the highest standards, and we should be very strict about it. But that doesn't apply to them. They're the good guys. They're the revolutionaries. Them, their friends, they shouldn't be held to any standards at all. And you can call them hypocrites till you're blue in the face. It's never worked, and it will never work because they believe in hypocrisy. They believe in hypocrisy. It's why even this thing, you've heard it. I may have even said it over the past week when judges started getting arrested and the left started complaining. The right started getting snarky and saying, I thought nobody was above the law, because they kept saying that for Donald Trump. Look, that can be beneficial to point out for the normies out there, but did you think that was going to sway them at all? No. If these people are communists, if they had their way, they would arrest you just for being a Republican, just for voting Republican. These people would arrest you for speaking in ways they don't like. You do realize that. In case you doubt that, look at every other communist country ever, including countries like the UK right now. They would send law enforcement to your door and throw you in a dark cage at a minimum for saying something they dislike. Do you think they're going to be swayed by your accusations of hypocrisy? Pfft, they don't care at all.
And now,
here's a headline.
Go, you know the thing.
headlines we didn't get to.
Trump administration saves migrant sisters from sex slavery in crackdown on Biden's lost kids crisis. I'll spare you the details on this, but 2 teenage girls were brought into the United States of America because Joe Biden and demon Democrats allowed them into the country on purpose. And the girls, well, they were promptly snatched up by evil men and lived a life of hell ever since. Democrats did that, and they did it on purpose. Eric Adams asked for photos of cops staring at their phones, and New Yorkers delivered. This is one, extremely hilarious, and 2, probably a good lesson in it for all of us. I've ranted on this before, so I'm not going to get all Daddy Jesse on you again, but please get off your phone when you're walking in public. Obviously, when you're driving, that's a given. I didn't say never get on your phone. I'm not your grandpa. Lean against the wall. Get on your phone. Sit down on the park bench. Get on your phone if you got something to do. Stop walking on your phone. You're completely unaware of your surroundings, and you're asking to get shot or stabbed in this country. $800,000 in dimes spills onto a North Texas highway. I don't like that headline, because I don't like to put a value on women. Huge underwater volcano off of major U.S. coast is set to erupt any day now as top scientists issue a warning. It's the Pacific Northwest. It's not important. Anyway, tomorrow is Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. That's all.